Hello everyone, I'm Literary Freak 11, and I am going to be doing the Book Unhaul challenge and the Read a Chapter tag at the same time, because as you see, these top two shelves are my TBR books, and there are just so few of them that I just feel like I can't let them go without at least trying them first. And if I like them, I'm not necessarily going to read them straight away. I'm probably going to put them back on the shelf because I have a system. But unfortunately, I've been going to libraries a lot more frequently than I read my own books because the potential of a book is so much more exciting than the actual books that you already have. So, it's a problem. I know, I'm working on it. So, basically, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to use not all, but some of the prompts from the book Unhaul, and then I'm going to be taking those and reading a chapter. Now, really quickly, I do want to say that I think that a lot of these books have stories behind them, so for me, it's going to also be an experience of telling the story behind the book if I think it has an interesting one. The other thing is that if you are going to do this challenge, you should try to pick books that specifically you know you're more inclined towards getting rid of. Like, for the hyped book, I have two options here. I have John Green's Looking for Alaska, and I have Vicious by Victoria Schwab, and both of these are hype books at one point or another. I know the hype for Looking for Alaska is a little bit over. I want to pick that one if it's the one that I think I'm less likely to like and also the more likely to unhaul, because the point is to look for books that you want to unhaul. So I'm going to put that right there. Now, the next prompt on the list is a book I'll never actually read. I really think that it's going to be this one. I actually looked at it in preparation for this thing. I read the back and it looks like it's going to be a lot of needless violence. It takes place in a dystopian society. It just doesn't seem like a dystopian society that's original. It's just like, America has fallen. Okay, well, give me something on top of that, because that's been done before. This book I actually got at Bargain Books. Actually, to go back to this one for 1 second, this book was given to me by a friend who was unhauling some of her own books, and I took it because I need to read it. This one, I really don't think I'll hang on to. I probably won't like. I remember not liking the first chapter. When I read it, this has been on my shelf probably for like 8 years. The chapter needs to get read, and this book needs to be unhauled. Next, a book that I DNF'd, and I actually do have books on this shelf that I DNF'd. And for this one, I'm going to pick Mistborn. Now, how DNF'd books work for this challenge, if you forgot everything, just go back to the beginning. But if you remember enough about the beginning of the book, like if you DNF'd it pretty recently, try to plug through another chapter. If that next chapter is really not doing it for you, it's out. So that's what I'm going to try to do with this. Now, another one is a series I'll never finish, and for that, I'm going to go with none other than Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Hebrew version and the English version, and they're basically the same book, but translations, and I saw it in Hebrew, and I was like, oh, I've read the first two, I should read the third, and then translate, and then I'll learn Hebrew. It's probably going to end up going. I just don't think that I can hang on to it anymore. I mean, look, I was too old for this series a decade ago, so it's probably not sticking. The next is a book I bought for the cover, and with that, ooh, look at my shelf tilting. Oh, there we go. I'm going to go with Ink, Iron, and Glass. So if you see that book over there, you've got like all this intricate work. Oh, this stuff sticks out, so it's like tactile. It's purple, which is my favorite color. And then you have like this building up, like these cogs, which kind of look very iron. And then, the iron part probably. And then you've got this building here, which looks like it could be, a library or a temple. And you have like the drips for the ink. Like it just hits all the points for beauty. And we'll see if it actually lives up to the hype. A book I don't know anything about. For this one, I'm going to go with Harbor. This is a book from my library, not my physical library, mind you. Not like, you have a card, you check stuff out. I have a mini free library outside of my apartment, which is why I own so few books. Because if I have a book that I wasn't really a fan of, or that I didn't just love in general, I throw it in the library. So this book actually comes from that library. And it's nice because I can get books very easily. It means that I'm not tempted to hoard because I could just throw it in, someone else will take it. I don't know anything about it. So I guess I'll read a chapter and try to remember the reason that I took it out of the library in the first place. Okay, the last category is the book I didn't buy. And like I said, a lot of these books I didn't buy. So there's really a ton of things that could go for this category. For a book I didn't buy, I'm going to go with Grit by Angela Duckworth. And, this is one of those motivational books. And I heard someone recommend it, and I had a friend who had to read it for class. And so he bought it, and then he gave it to me when he was done with it. I'm going to read all of these, and I'll let you know what I think. Okay. So I just got done reading the first chapter of this. I didn't even finish it, but I know I'm going to keep it because I was just so intrigued. She talks about how people who are in West Point, they have this candidate score that they judge admissions on, SATs, leadership, stuff like that. Turns out that score has nothing to do with who drops out. And they do have a very high dropout rate because it is a very rigorous program. So what determines dropping out? Grit, like how well you can stick to your guns, basically. I'm interested to learn more about that, and I'm very excited to continue with this. And yeah, so first chapter, and this is going back on the shelf. Okay, so I just finished this book, and I'm not sure really what I saw in it, but I cannot continue. It's really gross. This guy has come from a boat from Algeria and to America, and it's kind of the current time is in the present. He was a stowaway on this boat, so he kind of developed some really awful medical things. Some really gross stuff happened to him, basically, and it's talks about how he's all swollen and gangrenous. I'm I can't handle it. No. Horrible journey. I understand. Immigrants. Okay. Cool. Not happening. It's just not for me. I think that it could be a very touching story. I can't get past the first chapters. Okay. So this is amazing. The first paragraph, I'm actually maybe gonna read it to you because it was so good, but I want to say that everything, there's clearly exposition, but it's not obnoxious, it's not in your face, it's these are just things that she knows that she takes as a fact. Something has changed recently in her world, and so she's kind of explaining that change. It's so natural, it's just I'm just casually thinking these things. It's nothing ultra specific. Elsa crouched beside the tide pool, the hem of her skirt gathered over her arm to keep off the large algae slick rocks. A new species of starfish had emerged, but whether it would persist in the world or not was an open question. Elsa pulled her clockwork glove and activated the stability sensors on the fingertips, then gently lifted the starfish out of the water with her other hand. First I was oh, tide pool starfish, and then I was whoa, technology, what? Especially because it does say 1891 there. But so they have a lot of technology. Their world has expanded, apparently. They can expand the universe. And stuff is happening from that, I think. And that's what that starfish is. I'm really excited to know more. And I'm definitely not getting rid of this anytime soon. So I'm doing really poorly at this Unhaul. These don't really have chapters, so I kind of just read 15, 20 pages. I read this one, mostly. He comes across as a dick. But then I read this one and realized that I translated almost an entire sentence in Hebrew. And I realized the reading level is easy enough that I should keep them and actually try to read and actually try to learn Hebrew, which was the point. So I am actually not going to be unhauling these, even though I really expected that I was gonna. Next, I'm going to be doing Mistborn, and I'm really stressed about it because I don't want to not like it. Everyone loves Brandon Sanderson. This is my first Brandon Sanderson book. Well, I can't get rid of this one either. I don't know why I stopped, but I love it. I'm sucked back in by Cal's like knowledgeability of everything that's going on. If you don't know, this is a book about people who can use metals for certain powers, and the main character, Vin, can use all metals. Some other metallurgists can only use one, maybe two. So she is naturally extremely powerful. And so I'm just interested, and it's a very dystopian world. Yeah, I gotta see how this plays out. On to the next one. Okay, so I just finished my chapter for this. As I expected, I am not going to continue with this. Basically, for a book that's supposed to be about a revolution and a resistance, and they're just kind of sitting around in a trashed apartment watching TV, I'm not really interested in seeing where this goes. This is the try a book chapter tag is the reason a book has to start with drama, has to start with something actiony, or has to just be interesting, like some new perspective, some hook. And this chapter just didn't have a hook, and I just can't continue it. So this first chapter was really short. They're marked in 100 and whatever 83 days until the Great Perhaps. I honestly don't know how I feel about this book. Like, it didn't wow me, but it kind of interested me. And then I read the back of the book and realized that the whole point is his life is, like, a non-event, like, super average. And so I feel like I really can't judge it by this paragraph because it was super average. Like, what I read was super average, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what he was going for, and probably, hopefully, something's gonna happen soon. It's going to be a little more than average. I think I am going to leave it on my shelf and give it a chance. So just to recap, hauling only 2 books, these 2. That's still, it's something, and, gets me more towards reading books that I really want, and now I know, and I have certain expectations going into books. Like, for instance, I kind of felt very disinclined from Grit originally, and now I'm like, wow, I'm so excited to read it. So really, for me, it changed my opinion about books. I didn't end up unhauling. I have a feeling there are more on here that really I probably should have found a prompt to get rid of them, because I really don't want them. And so I will see you in the next video. Don't forget to like, subscribe,